In today's short devotional, we want to talk about what makes God laugh. Here we go from Psalm 2, verse 4. We read this. He who sits in the heavens shall laugh. The Lord shall hold them in derision. Now, we don't often think of God as laughing, though we should more than we do. The God presented on the pages of the Bible isn't depressed, and he isn't filled with fear or anxiety. God has the settled confidence of someone who both knows and controls the future. Plus, when God sees man in both his glory and his foolishness, it must often make him smile. But Psalm 2 tells us of a special reason why God laughs. Here, God laughs because man thinks that he can plot and work against God with any hope of success. It says this in the first few verses of the psalm. Let me read you Psalm 2, verses 1 through 3. It says this. Why do the nations rage and the people plot a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, let us break their bonds in pieces and cast away their cords from us. What was God's response? He who sits in the heavens shall laugh. Again, that's Psalm 2, verse 4. God looks at the way that man plots against him, and he laughs. God isn't afraid or confused or depressed about the opposition of man. God laughs at it. God laughs because he sits in the heavens. He sits as the great king on a glorious throne. God isn't pacing back and forth in the throne room of heaven, wondering what he should do next. God sits in perfect peace and assurance. He doesn't even rise from where he sits. God simply laughs. God laughs because he sits in the heavens. It isn't an earthly throne that he occupies. It's the throne of heaven with authority over all creation. What does heaven have to fear from earth? Now, please notice, God does not laugh at the suffering of mankind, even when their suffering is a result of sin. God laughs at the proud man or woman who thinks so highly of themselves that they will fight against God and think that in some way they can prevent his will. Simply said, the Lord shall hold them in derision. Through the centuries, there's many people who have opposed God and his kingdom in Jesus Christ, and each one of these opponents has been held in derision. They have been and shall be frustrated and crushed. A famous example of an early opponent of Christianity was the Roman Emperor Diocletian. He was between 245 and 313 AD. And he was such a determined enemy of Christians that he persecuted the church mercilessly. And he wanted to believe that he had defeated Christianity, absolutely destroyed it. So he had a medal struck with an inscription on it. It said this, the name of Christianity being extinguished. Diocletian also had monuments built on the frontiers of his empires that were ascribed with his accomplishments. They found a couple of these monuments. Here's what two of those monuments say. Ready? Diocletian, Jovian, Maximian, Hercules, Caesarius, Augusti, for having extended the Roman Empire in the east and the west, and for having extinguished the name of Christians who brought the republic to ruin. That was one. Here's the other one. Diocletian, Jovian, Maximin, Hercules, Caesarius, Augusti, for having everywhere abolished the superstition of Christ, for having extended the worship of the pagan gods. I read those and I laugh. Really, Diocletian? You did all that? Diocletian is dead and gone. He's a few paragraphs on the pages of history. But the fame and glory of Jesus Christ is spread over all the earth. The Lord shall hold them in derision. Let's draw near to the God who laughs over every foe and opponent, and do it today.